Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are. Hope you are having a wonderful day, and welcome to your latest World Cup news, which was going to start with a talk about the football, which would have been England versus Iran, Senegal versus Holland, and USA versus Wales, which we will still touch on. But before all that, we got to talk about how hypocritical the BBC are. On top of that, armbands and yellow cards. So let's get into the video, guys. The BBC has to be one of the most hypocritical, biased channels I've ever seen in my life in the UK. This is a channel that is funded by me and you. Well, if you live in the UK, if you pay in your license fees and so on. Yet I just still can't get over the opening session they had yesterday for the World Cup match with Qatar and Ecuador. They opened the show by talking about the first thing they mentioned. The first thing they talked about was the politics, and they went on for half an hour. And the experts in the studio on this topic were, of course, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, Alex Scott, and Ashley Williams. I mean, what a panel to really discuss this kind of thing with. Yet they went on for half an hour, cutting across to Jeremy Bowen, who I thought was probably dead like 20 years ago. No, but apparently he's still alive and an expert. Then they went to talk about carbon footprinting in the World Cup and how offsetting emissions is no longer acceptable and no longer okay. Yeah, that's what all companies in the UK do, but they never mentioned that. They went on and on and on, and I'm not going to do that today. I just want to point out the absolute hypocrisy that when they opened the World Cup in 2018 in Russia, of all countries, who had already annexed the Crimea, who look at what they're doing now, the atrocities they're carrying out in the Ukraine. Nothing at all was mentioned. Now, I ain't saying Qatar are right or wrong. I'm saying the BBC are wrong in the way they present this. Have this debate, fine, but do it for the football. I literally tuned in because I wanted to see the opening ceremony, to see what the billions would have been spent on it. Did I get the option to see it? No. Where did they put it on the red button? Did they even mention that if you didn't want to hear them talking bollocks for 40 minutes, you could have hit the red button? No, they didn't. But what a joke and what a mess. Let's move on to the next topic, which is just as pathetic. It's about yellow cards and armbands. England and Wales have been making a huge song and dance about how they're going to promote one love, with the captains Gareth Bale and Harry Kane to be wearing the one armband to show their their togetherness with acceptance of everything, which is all well and good, but it's always been understood that football and politics should not be mixed on the field. That's a whole other debate. However, they look so weak now because a single threat from FIFA has been enough to change their minds, which really begs the question of how strongly did they believe in this message, or were they just doing it for media hype? I don't know. Let me know down below. And what was the threat from FIFA? That if a player is found to be wearing that armband, i.e. the captain, they will be booked. A yellow card is now enough for all the morals, all the backing from our camps from England and Wales to just roll over and be tickled. It just looks so weak to me. But that's what's happened, and that's what they've agreed. So that broke about an hour or so ago. But just to give you an update, Harry Kane will be wearing his normal armband today. Maybe he goes rogue, I don't know. We will go and see. However, Gary Neville, the mountain of morality, has come out on his Twitter and has asked that the management do it. Gary Neville, why don't you do it while you're sitting there in your beIN Studios, being paid your millions after your hypocrisy of switching over after you were talking about morals, and then you're going and taking money from the Qatari people that you so proclaimed have no morals and no standards. Now, he may be doing it, I don't know. Obviously, I ain't got beIN in the UK, but I just find it so hypocritical. I'm done with the hypocrisy. Let's move on and talk about football. Okay, so there are 3 games coming today. The first one being England versus Iran. We will have the watch along for you from 12:45, I believe. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. UK time. So come tune in and have a chill with us if you so wish to. Following that, you will have Senegal versus Holland at 4, and then USA versus Wales this evening at 7. Now, this should be a cut and dry win for England. It should really be by how many, not if they are going to win. And you would expect the likes of Kane, maybe Sterling, maybe one or two others to really get their feet warm under the bench. That's not even the right saying. It's something like that. Anyway, you'd expect them to do well today. Iran are not a very strong team, but they always seem to be in the World Cup. They have had a few shock results in the World Cup before. I remember them being beating USA many moons ago. I think 1 or 2-0. Every now and again, they do produce a result, but I would be very, very skeptical that that would happen today. So I expect 3 points for England from this one. Maybe they get a few goals early lead and then start to look to rest some players because they're going to have harder matches with the likes of USA and Wales. And let's move on to that match following on that match as well. This is the other two people from the same group, USA and Wales. And this is going to be a lot tighter match. I actually think this one may end up in a draw. Gareth Bale has declared himself fit. Even though he hasn't played many games this season, he moved out to the MLS, and even there, he's not making the cut. But we know a Gareth Bale who plays for Wales is different to the Gareth Bale who played for Madrid and even out in the MLS. But more importantly than that, we have 3 of our beloved Forest players who could start for the Wales team, and it looks like they probably will. That will be Hennessy in goal. He should get the nod ahead of that crappy Leicester goalkeeper. My boy Brennan Johnson to play out on the right. At Wales, he's been an absolute revelation in that position, and I see him as starting tonight. Again, we will have this watch along for you. And finally, Nico Williams should quite likely either start at left back or maybe left midfield, depending on where Wales play Gareth Bale. So expect to see him on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. So we will have that watch along, as I just mentioned. We'll have the England watch along. And if you want it, we will also do the Senegal against Holland one. But I don't know. We'll see how boring the football is today. Now, in terms of Senegal and Holland, they have 2 key strikers missing. As we mentioned to you yesterday, Depay will be out for Holland. And for Senegal, Mane is out, kaput, finito from the World Cup. But there is a lot of hope and expectation riding on Senegal as the strongest African nation team in the competition. And these potentially could be England's competition in the knockout stages because these 2 groups are linked. So I think this will determine the winner of the group when it comes to Holland against Senegal. But Holland have a really strong team, but they always crack in tournament football. I don't know what it is about them. They're a bit Belgium-like, but they just seem to crack, especially in the tournaments I've seen in my lifetime. But keep an eye out for Cody Gakpo, the guy who was linked to Forest in the summer, the guy who is heavily linked to a move to the Premier League this January. He could take this World Cup by storm, and it's going to be really interesting to watch him play on the international scene. I think this one's the hardest one to call of the day. I'd probably say if a gun was held to my head, I would go Holland, but I would not be surprised to go Forest Ant style and sit on the fence on this one and call it a draw, because it really could be that. It just depends how well Senegal can play without their talisman, Mane. I think Holland will be able to survive fine without Depay. I don't think Depay is that great anyway, but he is the focal point for them in the Dutch team. Let me know what you think the results will be down below. Guys, if you've enjoyed the video, please do not forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We'll be bringing you so much content this World Cup season. And then, of course, in between all that, we'll still be giving you all the Nottingham Forest updates. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you on the watch along at 12:45. Keep an eye for the shorts. We'll be pumping them all day through to you. Really important messages. And come on, you Reds.